Welcome back, Giants fans. We are back with the weekly previews. Of course, we're in week 1 here. The Giants open up at the Tennessee Titans, a 425 game. And the Titans are unfortunately favored by 5.5 points. But this is a Titans team that lost a lot of talent this offseason. They lost their best pass rusher, Harold Landry, to an ACL tear the last week or so. So it's not impossible for the Giants to go to Tennessee and win this game, but of course the odds are stacked against them. So we'll start with the injury report for both sides, and about a couple hours ago from when I'm recording this, unfortunately it came out that the Giants are going to be without their top 2 pass rushers in Azeez Ojulari and of course the 5th overall pick, Kayvon Thibodeaux, which definitely sucks as Giants fans because one of the things that I'm looking most forward to this year is watching the development of those 2 guys, and to not have them the first game of the year especially, it's shitty, I'm not going to lie. But the good news is they should not be out for that long. Hopefully we get them back next week. So some other injuries, Sterling Shepard questionable with the Achilles injury, but it's been positive reports coming out about him, so I would not be shocked if he played in this game. And Dane Belton is questionable, the Giants rookie. He was the 4th round pick this year out of Iowa, so it'd be cool if he can play, but he has not practiced in a while, has not really had any type of contact, so I would be surprised if he played, but if he got out there and played some special team snaps, that would be cool. And for Tennessee, they have some guys in their defense that are backup players that are questionable, but like the main guys that are out really is just Elijah Molden. He's like their main slot corner. He was taken either last year or the year before. He was like a 2nd round pick, and I was a fan of his. So, he is a good player, and if he's out for this game with a groin injury, we can see the Giants try to utilize the slot receivers. That, of course, would be Wan'Dale Robinson. Sometimes it would be Sterling Shepard maybe, and sometimes it would be Kadarius Toney, who's off the injury report, which is great news. So you look at this matchup, and where could the Giants attack the Titans defensively? It is tough, but, one of those positions could be their slot receiver, of course, if the Titans' number 1 slot corner is out. So as you guys can see, if you're watching YouTube, of course, you can't see it on the podcast version, but I did put the Titans and where they ranked in some certain areas last year. I know it's last season. It's back from, 2021 or the first month of 2022. It's been a while, but we don't have anything else to go off of. I'm not going to go off of preseason. That does not matter. I would say for the first few weeks or so, it's best to go off of what happened last year. But for the Titans' offensive tendencies, of course, it was a weird year. A.J. Brown missed like a month or so, and Derrick Henry was out half the year. Julio Jones was always in and out of the lineup, so, but those receivers don't exist here anymore. Now it's Robert Woods, and now it's Treylon Burks. It's kind of like a new era with this whole Titans offense here, minus Tannehill and Henry. So in points for, they were 15th in the NFL, right in the middle. Total yards, they were 17th, once again, right in the middle. Turnovers, they were 23rd. In total pass attempts, the Titans were 25th in the NFL. Of course, they're more of a run-first type of team. Makes sense. And in rushing attempts, they were number 1. So, of course, I thought Philly was number 1, but they might have been number 1 in, total efficiency. So, although the Titans had the most rushing attempts, they were 5th in rushing yards total. And if you are familiar with Derrick Henry, that happens sometimes. There are games where Henry will have 23 carries for 74 yards, and it's not the most efficient thing in the world. But the reason the Titans give Derrick Henry the ball so much, not only because he's very good, but because Derrick Henry has the ability to break off those 60, 70, 80-yard touchdown runs. And look, I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big game. I will say that off the top. I know the Giants have some guys to stop the run. That includes Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, but just Derrick Henry coming at you 25, 30 times. You're assuming the Titans will be up for most of this game. They are supposed to win this game by almost a touchdown. So Derrick Henry should see 25 plus carries in this game. Maybe it's a bit less, but it will be 20 plus if he stays healthy. Now, if the Giants do somehow stop Derrick Henry and make him have a not so efficient day, you're still going to have to deal with Ryan Tannehill, who, yes, had a down year as compared to his previous year and a half back from, 2020 and half of 2019. They do have Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, as I mentioned, the 1st round rookie. They also have the slot receiver Kyle Phillips. I have never watched Kyle Phillips play, but I've done a lot of fantasy football research this offseason. Kyle Phillips got a lot of hype. I think he's out of UCLA. So if Kyle Phillips is a good slot receiver, I guess we'll find out week 1. But there's definitely been a lot of praise about him in the preseason and training camp. Their 3rd receiver is Nick Westbrook Akina. I think it's Akina. It's a tough name to pronounce, but I'm pretty sure it's Akina. He's a bigger guy, like 6'2", 6'3". Made some nice plays when Julio was out last year. A.J. Brown was out. He had his opportunities, so he's a guy to watch out for as well. They got a new tight end, Austin Hooper, and honestly, Austin Hooper might be the 2nd most targeted guy in this offense this week because you look at Robert Woods, he should be the most targeted guy. He's coming off an ACL tear. Treylon Burks, there's been a lot of weird stuff about him in the preseason. He has not gotten consistent playing time. He was playing into like the third and fourth quarter of some preseason games. But we know who Austin Hooper is. He's on his third team. He's a veteran. He's a good pass catcher. So if they gave him like 6, 7, 8 targets, I would not be shocked. Now, the Titans' offensive line took a step back. It's a shame that Kayvon and Azeez are not playing in this game because the Titans' offensive line definitely took a step back. They lost Roger Saffold, who now went to the Bills. We saw him play last night. They still have Taylor Lewan at left tackle. They still have Ben Jones at center. Their right guard's the same, Nate Davis. But their left guard and right tackle spots, those are the concerning ones for Titans fans. They have this Ohio State rookie who played left tackle for Ohio State last year, Nicholas, I think it's Petit Friere or something like that. He's their right tackle playing over Dylan Radins. I guess he beat him out. So maybe there's an opportunity for Jihad Ward or maybe even O'Shane Zimenez to have some success in this game. Now, the Titans defense, they were a pretty good unit last year. They were 6th best in points allowed, 12th in yards allowed. They did give up a lot of passing yards last year, which I guess makes sense because they were the 1 seed. Teams were most likely playing from behind when playing Tennessee last year. They produced the 14th most turnovers last season, so that's like middle of the pack, a bit higher than that. Now, rushing defense is where the Titans defense was amazing last year. They were the 2nd best run defense in terms of yards allowed. They only allowed 14 rushing touchdowns all of last year. They only allowed 3.9 yards per attempt to their opponents last season. So it is tough to run on this team. They have Jeffrey Simmons, who's one of the best interior defensive linemen in all of football. But I will say the thing that scares me about this Titans team is their secondary. Like, they have a good, young, talented secondary. We talked about Elijah Molden. He was a guy I like. But even guys like Christian Fulton, Caleb Farley, Kevin Byard, Amani Hooker, those are like really good players. And like those corners were taken very high in the draft. They are very talented. We know about Farley's talent, but he can't stay on the field. And Kevin Byard and Amani Hooker, they're one of the best safety tandems in football. They don't get too much like recognition, I guess maybe because it's like the Tennessee Titans, but still, they are one of the best safety tandems in all of football. So for the Giants offense, I don't expect many rushing attempts for Saquon Barkley. Once again, you would assume the Giants might be playing from behind in this game, which makes you want to pass the ball more. So I can see a world where Daniel Jones has 35, maybe 40 plus passing attempts in this game, especially if Molden's out, and maybe they hyper target the guy in the slot, whether it is Tony once again, whether it's Wan'Dale Robinson. Daniel Bellinger may be one of the main targets here. I know Kenny Golladay, he's still on the field, he's still out there running routes, but we have not seen the Kenny Golladay, Daniel Jones chemistry. It's not there right now, so maybe it somehow appears in week 1. That would be great, and maybe Kenny Golladay has 80 yards and a touchdown. That would be very shocking and great news, but it's just hard to predict that. So if you're the Giants, probably the best thing to do offensively is just try to get some mismatches on the slot receivers and even the tight ends. Make guys like David Long and Zach Cunningham and even Bud Dupree and try to cover these receivers and see if they can do it. I would try Saquon early and see how the run game is going, but as I said, the Titans were one of the best teams at stopping the run last year, so if Saquon's in the first quarter with like 6-7 carries for like 18 yards, I'm not going to keep running the ball up the middle into that very good defensive line. So this may be a game here where the Giants have to spread the ball out and really key in on these mismatch offensively. Now, apparently for the Giants left guard spot, I forgot to mention this, it is down to Ben Bredeson or the rookie Joshua Izuda. I kind of want to see Bredeson because I just feel like he's more NFL ready, obviously. Like, Izuda is a better prospect, we know that, but I don't know if I throw him into the fire week 1. I feel like it's going to be Bredeson, but we'll see what happens on Sunday. Now, for the Giants defense, as I mentioned, Tennessee's offensive line is taking a step back talent-wise from what it was last year. So if I'm Don Martindale, I would expect the Giants to actually try to, draw up some blitzes. Obviously, we know that's Martindale's thing, but especially in a matchup like this, and really test this Titans offensive line and test Derrick Henry as a pass blocker and see if that works. If they can rattle Tannehill and sack him 4 or 5 times in this game, that's only going to help your chances. Now, on the flip side of that, you are going to leave Aaron Robinson and Darnay Holmes and Adoree Jackson on islands with guys like Robert Woods and Treylon Burks and Nick Westbrook-Akina. That's a bit scary and a bit dangerous, especially with Treylon Burks and how explosive he is. But it is go big or go home. The Giants have to go out here with the game plan to best beat their opponent. And I personally believe that blitzing them a lot is the best chance to beat this Titans team. Now, unfortunately for us, Ryan Tannehill is an underrated athlete. He's a good runner with the football, so he might see some pressure and maybe outruns guys and gets himself 40, 50, 60 rushing yards on Sunday, but once again, you just got to see what happens. I just think if the Giants sit in zone, I just think they'll tear them apart with the short passing game, Derrick Henry, of course, and the Giants might try and stack the box, but once again, do you want to leave this really suspect secondary one-on-one with these good receivers in Burks and Woods? Like, I don't know if I want to do that. We got to hope that our main guys up front, once again, starting with Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, they can hopefully try and stop Derrick Henry. Guys like Jihad Ward, O'Shane Jimenez definitely have to set the edge, and guys like Tate Crowder, Austin Calitro, like, they're going to have a tough assignment. There's no doubt about it. Like, I'm looking at this now. I wanted to see this just for, like, an experiment. I wanted to see the weight difference between Tate Crowder, one of our starting middle linebackers, as compared to Derrick Henry. Tate Crowder's 235, and Derrick Henry, the running back, is 247. He's also 2 inches taller than Tate Crowder. So, yeah, it's not the best matchup for the Giants, obviously, but if they can just keep Henry contained somehow, and once again, just, he's probably going to reach 100 yards, Henry, but just don't let him break off like 2 monster touchdown runs. Like, that's what we can't have happen. So once again, although the odds are stacked against the Giants, I don't think this is impossible. I don't think this is the worst week 1 matchup. A lot of people are down on Tennessee this year and saying that they were a lucky 1 seed, which I kind of agree with. But this Titans team's hungry after how last year ended with the Bengals loss, and Derrick Henry's definitely hungry for how last year went for him. Guys like Robert Woods coming off the ACL, he wants to prove himself. Treylon Burks, first game in the NFL, wants to prove himself. And there is more continuity with the Tennessee Titans. I think we know that. I think their head coach Vrabel has been there since 2018, maybe 17, 18, and he's had 9+ wins every year he's been there. So they've always been well coached. There were some concerns last year when their previous offensive coordinator went to be the Falcons head coach, Arthur Smith. But yeah, their offense was fine last year. We saw the Titans offense put up big numbers, and a lot of it was Derrick Henry, but now Derrick Henry's back, so you can't really say, oh, well, that was because Derrick Henry was out, but now Derrick Henry's back, and they should have a good offense once again. I could see their offensive line holding them back, and once again, it would have been great to have Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari in this game, but unfortunately, that's not how it played out. So although I wouldn't pick the Giants to win this game, I think there is a, maybe a 30% chance or so they can pull this off. It's definitely not impossible. I don't look at this matchup and go, oh, we're going to get killed. I don't see that happening. I know I said that last year versus the Broncos. I picked Denver to win that game by like 3 points, but the Giants lost by pretty much 21 until like they had that garbage time touchdown. So the Giants in week 1 have been very, very bad over the past 10 years. I think they've won 1 week 1 matchup. That was 2016 at the Cowboys. So, hopefully they could find a way to reverse that. I do have faith in this new head coach and GM as compared to our previous couple regimes, but still the Giants in week 1 just have a terrible reputation. I'll put it that way. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave your predictions in the comments, what you're looking out for, and I'll talk to you guys next time.